and welcome. I hope you're having a beautiful Sunday wherever you are in the world. I noticed I move a lot when I do these videos. My bad, I can't help it, it's just a thing. Today's question comes from John Espirian. I really think I've said his name wrong. I'm so sorry, John. Please forgive me. It's a great question. It was a follow-up to yesterday's one where I was talking about knowing which platform to be on, and John asked the follow-up question of what do you do with the market research that I find out on Expanded Ramblings, which is what the source is that I mentioned. I want to take this question and I want to answer it properly, and I think to do that I need to reframe it into how do you carry out market research online. Now, the importance of market research is that your strategy will succeed versus it won't. A lot of small business owners jump on social media and adopt a post by post strategy. They're like, I know my business, I know my customers, I don't need any of this market research, I know what I'm talking about. But then 6 months down the line, they're not getting sales and they wonder why. There's crickets. And the reason is they don't have a strategically sound plan that's being implemented in place. You see, even if you're doing that offline, when you take things online, you're operating in a different environment and you have to account for that. And so I do market research in 3 stages. The thing about it that you have to remember is that this research is the information that informs who you're talking to, how you find them, how you engage them, how you grow your community, what content to put out that will resonate with them, how to build conversations and talk in a way that they're going to understand, because that is very, very important on social media. And how you convert customers, because they don't happen on their own. As marketers, we do an incredibly awful job of not telling you that sales don't just happen by engaging and putting out great content. You have to have a system in place that takes, your connections from a social mindset and guides them through step by step into a transactional mindset. And so in order for that journey to take place, you need to be able to talk to their pain points and engage them at each stage of the customer lifestyle, which begins well before they actually buy from you. And so that's really, really important, and all of that information you need to have, but you don't just naturally know that or have that. You have to do the research. And so I do research in 3 stages. It's very old school, I will say, but it's the foundations. You cannot build a business without solid foundations. It's like a house, it will crumble. So as boring and as tedious and as much work as this takes, it is worth it if it gets you to your end goal. I want you to keep that in mind, because I know that it could be a little bit boring. And again, you don't have to use these tactics. These are ones that I use and I live by. I think they work. And so the first one is to look at the macro environment that you're operating in, the wider environment, the industry and all of that jazz. And so the external environment. And I use a framework called a PESTEL Analysis, where you look at the political, economic, socio-cultural, environmental and legal factors influencing your company and how it operates. Now, this is so important when you're online. I cannot emphasize this enough, because a lot of us are adopting a global business model, right? Because we can serve people all over the world, we want to do that, but we don't account for the fact we then have to consider how our business operates in every single one of those countries. We have to take that into account. What's going on in their worlds that affects us, and we have to account for that. So it's really, really important that we do something like this. And if you don't know where to start, this framework is a really, really, really good overview. It's not everything, it's not perfect, it's probably not enough on its own, but if you're doing nothing right now, it's great to get started. If you don't know how to do this, please do not worry. I have done a blog post on this. I will include a link below this video to help you out with that, and of course you can ask me any questions. Now, the second stage is to bring it into the internal environment, where you kind of do, like, I use something called, the model that I use is Porter's value chain, and that looks at the resources and the internal workings of your business. I'm not even going to try to explain it. You can look it up. I will point you in the right direction. These are models and frameworks that I learned at university, and they are very much university frameworks. They're old school, theoretical, but I stand by them. I think they're wonderful if you don't know how to get started and what you're kind of doing with this stuff. I will also recommend a book. Let me step out and grab it for a second, as you do. This is the book that I was supposed to read at university. You guys know I didn't read it, but I did buy it. It is called Strategic Marketing, Creating Competitive Advantage. I have read it since leaving university, and I wish I did read it when I was there, because it's very, very good, and it will explain this. You don't need to read the whole thing. Of course, this is for university students. You can also just look it up online, but that's what I use. That's how I learned. So those are the things. Basically, you're looking at the external environment and you're looking at your internal environment. And of course, you're doing your competitors analysis, which is different if you're operating offline to when you're operating online. That environment changes. And then once you have done that, you pull those things together by, so it's your macro environment and your micro environment, and you pull those together in a SWOT analysis, which is a thing most business owners have heard of, where you pull together your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and it will give you a good overview of basically the environment you're operating in. Now, I'd like to add like another layer to this, because I recently discovered service design, had a wonderful interview with the amazing Ali McGill. Again, I'll include a link below this video. I hadn't heard of service design before meeting Ali, but it's really, really powerful. It talks about basically the whole customer experience and how you design your services around your customer. Looking at like structure, movement and behaviour, and how that changes at each point. I think that's really, really powerful on social media, because relationships change, and your customer needs or wants or interests as just, you know, a user who is following you is very much different from someone who has already purchased from you. We know the importance of customer lifetime value. You want to get the most out of each customer. It's far easier to retain a customer than it is to go out and constantly have to keep acquiring new ones. The thing about when you retain your customers as well is not only does that build customer lifetime value, right? They're worth more, as a single customer is worth more because they keep buying more from you. So you're getting a higher return per customer if you focus on that. I hope that explains it well. But they become your brand advocates. They're the people that are shouting your name from the rooftops saying everyone should buy from you. So essentially, when you focus on those people, you create a little team of marketers who go out there and do all the work for you. Isn't that wonderful? Not all the work, you still have to do a lot of it, but it helps. And so I think service design and figuring that out and combining it with the research, because that is part of the research process. If you do those things first before even thinking about social media, then you're going to be in a really good place. Now again, I'm going to grab a book. Let me dodge out for a sec. It's called Service Design for Business. This is my favourite bit. Let me just show you. Isn't this the best name? Melvin Brand Flew. That cracked me up. What an awesome name. Because he obviously works in business and I'm easily amused. Anyways, those are great books to check out. Now, once you've looked at the macro environment and you've looked at the micro environment and you have looked at service design and how your whole business flows, because that's really part of the internal analysis there, and you understand how that's working. The reason I bring that up is most businesses haven't done that, and social media is an amplifier. If you don't know what you're doing, it will amplify that. If you do know what you're doing, it will amplify that also, and that's what you want. So getting this structural stuff, this foundation stuff done right, it will make the rest of the process a lot easier, because then the next stage in the research process is finding out about your specific customers, what they want, what they need, and all of that jazz. And the easiest way, believe it or not, to find out all that information is not to look at secondary research. It can only take you so far. It's to look at primary research. You go out there, you do it yourself, and you ask them. It's amazing. We're all consumers, and we all know what we like and what we don't like. And if we're all trying to guess what our customers want, but if we just ask them, they will tell us. And then we don't have to guess, and we can design services and put together social media strategies based on what they want to hear. So how do you find that information out? Well, you could do the traditional questionnaires and surveys. That works. You can provide incentives for taking action. So you see this a lot in restaurants or bars, that sort of thing. Any sort of offline business, you can provide like a discount or something for completing a survey, or they get like if you're like a sort of like a content marketer or something like that, you can put content behind a paywall, and you can give them not a paywall, but like a survey wall. Complete a survey, you get this information or advice or anything like that. You get free download, PDF, video course, whatever it may be. Give them an incentive, a reason to fill in your questionnaire and survey. For those who don't just want to do it out of the kindness of their heart. You can also do things like focus groups. You can look at social media. This is the best way. Listen, and you will hear what is being said, and then it becomes very easy. The problem with social media is that we're all focused on our own accounts. We're not listening to other people's conversations. That's right, I'm telling you to be a social stalker. Not in any dodgy way though. Be a lurker, listen to conversations. Again, the problem is that we listen to reply instead of listening to understand. You can gain a lot of information, and you can use this information if you just really pay close attention to your customers and what they're saying. So when you follow them on social media, take the time to really pay attention to the conversations they're having. Look at how they're engaging, what they're talking about. People broadcast their lives on social media. They will tell you when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're angry, and what annoys them. All of that stuff, and that can all be used to inform the way you communicate with them and the way you share your message and hit those pain points, which is huge. That's the information that is going to get the emotional investment that I always say leads to the financial investment. The other thing you can do is ask questions on social media, of course, and do polls and make all of that sort of stuff. But the other thing you can do, the most powerful thing you can do, and there's one person I see do this all the time, and you guys are going to be like, we know who she's going to talk about. You're right. Chris Brogan does this all the time, is having one-on-one conversations with people. Actually having a conversation, taking the time. Imagine the other person, Dickie Armour. Imagine picking up the phone in 2016 to have a conversation with a customer. Not for anything, just to see how they're getting on and how their day's going. You find out the most about people when you're not talking business. So that's one point to consider, not to go all in on the business talk, but you can really hear what's going on in their life, which is absolutely informs their buying decisions. A lot of us focus on the sale and our products and services, when ultimately people are buying a solution. They want you to make their life better. So if you could truly understand that, you can really speak to them. And what you will notice as you speak to these people one-on-one is trends start to form. And these are the trends you really want to pay attention to, because they allow you to market your business and again communicate in a way that seems like it's one-on-one. That person feels like you're specifically speaking to them, but you're scaling it because these are the things that they have in common, your whole audience have in common. So that is really, I can't say how powerful that is. It takes a huge amount of time. It's more fun actually than doing the whole secondary research of looking up industry reports. Like I never said, actually you can get that in census. There's a ton of ways to find. You know, the thing is, our job isn't researchers, so we're not the best at collecting that evidence. on an industry level, but luckily there's a ton of amazing researchers who do that and get paid to do that for a job. So we just have to find that information through like census in the UK. I don't know what it's called anywhere else in the world. Industry reports, that sort of thing. For social media examiner industry report is a must read. That is done on a good size scale, so it's a good overview. But back to this, the one-on-one conversations, they take time, but they will make you the best at what you do. And when you're the best at what you do, that's your goal in business. That's how you win. People don't take that time. They're not willing to take that time. And the ironic part is, if you just took that little bit of time to put in that little bit of extra effort, you would get a lot extra results. You would get a lot because nobody else is doing it. Stand out and care, genuinely care. And I think that's a good overview of how to do market research. I hope that helps. This is the longest video ever. I probably haven't kept your attention. If I have, bless your heart and your soul. You are a wonderful human being. I truly hope this has helped you. Just a couple of pointers. Don't rely just on web-only research. Don't just rely on secondary research, right? You need to make it specific to you. Cookie cutters belong in the kitchen, not your business. So make it very, very specific to you. And don't just talk to people you know. Talk to people you don't know, because people you know are going to tell you what you want to hear, and you want to get a really good overview. And so try and get as many people as you can who are your customers and who aren't your customers. One thing I didn't mention is, like, obviously you can do like the mystery shopping, pretending to be a customer of your competitors, but what I would say to that is try to focus on what you're doing. People can do the same as you, but they can't do it quite like you. Once again, I hope that has helped. Apologies for the length of this video. If you have any follow-up questions or want to talk more, comments, I am listening, I promise. And never forget that you have the power to change the world, one connection and one conversation at a time. Much love from my heart to yours, and I hope we speak soon. Have a wonderful week ahead.